Hey everyone.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm great.
Always good to see you.
Good to see
Okpa
you.
is a fashionista, giving us back to back.
Stop
to back,
now.
To back.
I just threw
Were you a
this
model
on.
in your former life?
Yeah. Oh, I won Miss Fanta during NYC.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm a beauty queen.
Oh,
I'm not regular.
A beauty queen.
Yeah. Go and ask anybody.
Nice.
Miss Fanta.
Nice.
NYC. Oyo. Insane Camp. 2000 and... When did I serve? Good.
3.
When
Don't
was
scatter
I
my
born?
head.
I was born in 2001. Welcome to another episode of I Too Sabi. I'm Sweet Okbe.
Welcome. And my name is Chydee or Chydee. Anyone you like. Don't stress me.
Did you forget your name?
Anyone. Some people will be like, Chydee. Is it Chydee? Is it Chydee? Anyone you want.
Don't forget, guys, if you'd like to ask us questions, check the episode notes rather, as well as our social media pages for a form that you can fill to send your questions.
And the social media pages are at I Too Sabi Podcast on Twitter and Instagram.
All right, we're not alone today.
Yes, so
we've got the
good to
one.
have amazing people.
Always good.
Always good. And this particular one, hey, God.
He's an Odogu.
Legend.
Odogu.
OG.
Clear the road
Sugar
for
daddy.
the game changer.
You know?
In the who day.
Odumodu plug.
You want to introduce our guest?
So I think we should let him introduce himself.
All right.
Fuad, please.
Da-da-da-dan, da-dan, da-da-dan.
Okay, my name is Fuad. I'm the subject of Chydee's Aristoness.
Eh?
From where to where?
You are my Aristo.
What does that mean?
I don't even get it.
You don't just come out here?
No, please. Let's focus.
Okay, yeah. My name is Fuad. I do a bunch of things for a bunch of people. But I think for this episode, the well I'm going to be fetching from is that a few years ago I used to write this series at the Coco called Naira Life.
Yeah.
And every
Loved
week I'd speak to people about their finances. And I spoke to all kinds of people. I spoke to 100 people. I published 100 stories.
Oh, wow.
50 men and 50 women. That was
100. Like you were intentional about the splits.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. And you created that thing. You know how Eminem in that song he did with Beyonce, he said, "Bitch, I wrote Stan." I should have blobbed the bitch. I said it again. B, I wrote Stan. That's basically what Fuad can actually say. I created Naira Life and everyone like, ooh. That's it.
Anyway.
And that's not the only thing he created, by the way.
What else did he create?
Jollof Road. Basically, Fuad traveled around Nigeria he lived my dream.
Oh my God.
And he did West Africa, right?
What can you sign for me? Sign. No.
Legend.
00329698857 GTB.
He
Please.
actually got his account number.
Please go ahead.
Help me.
We received a question. And here goes the question for this week. You want to read it? Or?
Yeah, let me go ahead.
All right.
Yeah. Hello guys. I hope you're doing okay. Thank you. We're doing good. I have a self-esteem problem. Most of my friends are significantly richer than me. Not in a bad way. I am happy for them, genuinely happy, but sometimes I find myself comparing myself to them and it is hard to shake off. It's not like they are throwing their money in my face, but they are always planning trips, buying new cars, and so on. All things that I can afford to do, but not as much as them. I recognize that this might not be a big deal for many people, but it has started affecting my self-esteem around them. I have stopped hanging out as much with them, even when they offer to come and pick me up or pay for my meals. I have even talked to one of them about how I feel, and she assures me that it is all in my head. I cannot shake off the feeling of weirdness. Do you have any advice for me? This is a problem that has been bugging me for such a long time.
Okay. Yeah, so I think we should just share our personal
let's
thoughts.
do that heavy sigh again. Because
Why is your own different?
Because I can totally relate to everything she said.
You can.
Yeah.
Okay, since you are you are fetching from the well of what?
Experience.
Yeah. We'll come to you last. Do you have any personal experience? You know, you are a rich man, so I don't want to conclude that you know. Okay, go on.
I'm not a rich man. I'm not poor.
You are a rich man in Jesus' name.
Amen. But I'm not rich, like conventional rich. Like, I'm just doing okay. I'm doing comfortable.
With 7 cars.
Comfortable.
Good.
Comfortable. Please, don't send kidnappers, man. Yeah. So so I'm not going to get into the personal experience bit yet. But this is actually very deep. Like, I felt every single line. Some people, I mean, like a friend has said, it's all in her head, trying to invite. I mean, she probably means it in a good way. I'm not disrespecting the friend or anything, but it sounds like she's invalidating her experience. It's a very, very valid experience. And let me tell you how crazy it is. She actually is not poor. She mentions that she can afford to do some of these things. Yeah.
But not as much
Not as much as. In the course of this show, we're going to actually talk about people who are now poor, way poorer than their friends, and how stuff like this affects them. But yeah, it's a very, very valid concern. And this episode is going to be heavy. Like, there's so much, like, my heart is beating because there's experiences from when I was poor to experiences now that I'm doing well for myself, you know.
Yeah. So personally, I think almost everyone would have, at some point in their lives, can relate rather to this. Because even if you think you are rich, you would definitely see someone richer than you. What are you talking about? You would definitely see someone richer than you. Like, some people go on trips on impulse. You just wake up like, I'm craving Paris today.
Hey, Jesus.
Me, if I want to go to Paris now,
like 3 months planning.
Oh,
There's
3 months.
There's no in Paris.
You 3 months. If I'm going in December, I would have started booking a flight since February. Let me see the best option.
Do you know the joy in being able to impulsively say,
I want a new car.
I want to buy a new house.
I want a new.
Or somebody will just be driving and sees a car that the person likes, and the person will be like, how much is that car? Call their dealer. I see this. I like them. How much is it?
You get them. You can have it in fuchsia pink. Deliver it tomorrow.
That's me, but like with suya or something.
Suya.
Who is this man?
Suya, nice. Ramsey, let's try it.
Okay, so let's move to you now. Just give us a breakdown of this question and tell us what you think.
I think the super summary of what she's experiencing is anxiety, right?
Anxiety?
Yeah, and depending on like the literature you're consuming. Again, I'm not speaking about this as an expert, but someone who just cares very deeply about this topic.
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah. But in like academic spaces, you see it as status anxiety, right? And it manifests with every marker of status in insight. So sometimes it's academic.
Yeah.
Right. But a lot of the time in broader society, it is financial, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes you see it's especially worse when we are teenagers, right? If you went to a school where you know your heart of hearts that you did not belong, like socioeconomically, it became very, very obvious. Yeah. So sometimes it's like, oh, you see a person who has this. I heard a story recently, or a few months ago actually. You see a person who has a scholarship, extremely bright, but the scholarship got them to a rich school, right? To be in school with people who are definitely not in their weight class financially, and so they feel out of place, even though they deserve to be there because they are smart.
Yeah.
It's one way. I remember it as a teenager personally is that, so I was this kid. There was a wave of Jackba in the late 80s, early 90s, and a lot of my mom's friends relocated, right? So all of them were American, technically. Then I was the only one with a Nigerian accent. And I remember for a holiday or a summer, in quotes, I was the Nigerian bush boy. Yeah, and it's like it followed me for a very long time. I'll never forget the first time I went to a restaurant and I went to them. It was Cactus, right? And I saw buffalo wings on the menu and I started freaking out. I was like, what the fuck are buffalo wings? Wow. Like, I'm like, buffaloes, and those things are like cows. How the fuck do they have wings? And then I saw it was those bloody budget chicken wings, right? But like I was going crazy in my head.
Yeah.
I remember the reason I even chose buffalo wings that day was because I was like, if this babe feature up these buffalo wings, it cannot kill me, right? And it's manifests in different ways and continues to stay with us for a long time.
Yeah.
But like when you consume a lot of the scholarly literature about it, you find that it is very, very pronounced in societies where there is very serious income inequality. Right? So you're talking of like emerging countries like the Nigerias of the world and everything. In societies where the bar for a dignified life, like a dignified life is very accessible, like the Scandinavian countries, it's very, very low. It's not a thing that's very common.
Yeah.
People don't feel like, oh, another person is oppressing them. Right?
Because the person is driving a bigger car.
It's not a thing that is common in societies where there's a very, very strong government-led social system.
Okay.
But in a society where everything is driven by everybody trying to one up the other, I better pass like
my
the
neighbor.
culture code of Nigeria is literally
I better pass my neighbor.
Right? It's always very common. And the harsh reality is just that it's a clear and present problem, and it drives people to do certain things because they're trying to meet up. Right? It drives people to want to like bleach their skins because of certain beauty standards. That's the status of anxiety. It drives people to want to like own certain stuff because everybody owns it. Everybody wants to drive white Benz because I mean Shay Vibe sang about it. Do you understand? So yeah, it's the response to a person feeling awkward about it must never be it's all in your head, because it is not all in their head. It's real.
It's very, very real.
What you said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Status. I have never come across this term.
Yeah.
Status
I
anxiety.
read a lot of JSTOR articles.
Yeah. It's I mean, it's crazy that there's actually a definition for these things, and many people don't even. Again, this babe that shared this story, there are so many people like her.
Yeah.
So, but they've not tried to unpack this. They've not tried to analyze this because they feel like it's in my head. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but it's actually quite a thing. And I like how you've broadened it beyond just finances. There's so many things. There's, you know how they call some people intellectuals, and then because you're trying to get into that circle, but you're the guy who, you don't think like Plato or Socrates or something, and then because of that, you're excluded from that circle. Yeah. Because you are that guy who grew up in Nigeria and everything, and you now had to be with, people who have blue passports, and you felt like the sore thumb and everything. So yeah, it's not just finances; it's a whole lot of things. And I'm really, really glad we're doing this, because now it's something for people to think about, something for people to analyze, and hopefully there's going to be like institutionalization of stuff like this. Let's have these conversations. Let's take it to a bigger audience and let people understand that if somebody is doing better than you, it doesn't mean that you can't still fit in somehow. Whatever you're feeling is very, very valid. And again, which is why I am very, very angry at the kind of governments that we have. You mentioned Scandinavian countries. You mentioned all these countries where access to dignity, access to dignified living is not, with your minimum wage, you can, drive a very good car, right?
Yeah.
Live in a very comfortable house and everything. So even if somebody is coming with like the latest Range Rover, you're not oppressed by that person, because at the end of the day, the system has created a level playing ground that is beneficial to everybody. So yeah. It's
okay, so let's move to personal experiences. Have you experienced?
Oh yeah, I have. I was. This is not a sub story. I have gone past it. Yeah. It's not a grass to grace story or anything. But I was born fucking poor. Right. I look back at my life and I'm like, bruh, you did that shit.
Wow.
Pull it back to Lagos.
Yeah. So I started secondary school in the government secondary school, Janiki, not federal government college, government secondary school itself in Janiki there. So when I was done with the junior level and everything, they said it's better for me to go to private school.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, now let's raise the money for the private school. There was no money and everything. Eventually, my uncle came through, and then second term I joined the private school.
Okay.
That was the only term I was not chased for school fees.
The term you joined.
The term I joined, because we paid in full before I even got in. So I was basically in a school with people who were well-to-do, right? And I just felt like the odd one out. I made up for it. I mean, I was smart and everything. So people actually wanted to be my friend and everything. And there were also a couple other students too who were, poor like me and everything. So we banded together. When they chase us for school fees. But at the end of the day, you still see the ones that, they are doing, and they will never let you into their circle. You guys might be friends and everything, but when they are planning these outings, all these things, they will never, ever let you into their circle. And that kind of made me a loner. Till today, I'm a loner. I mean, I have this very social, outgoing persona, but deep inside, I'm the guy who just wants to stay at home. And it's because I've never fit into a circle since that time. I've never, ever fit into a circle. My closest friends who, if they're going for a party now, they would want me to come and everything. They did it so much, and I did not attend so much that they don't even invite me anymore. So it's like, we've done full circle. The only difference now is that I'm not financially disadvantaged. So yeah, there's so many experiences. Like it's mad. University. All my friends were staying very close to campus at all those fine places. I was staying in the bush.
What do you mean
crazy.
Bush?
Like actual bush. Like no jokes. Actual bush.
Wow.
I mean, it's not thatch house or anything, but the house was in the bush. Like there was a time when if I want to go home, I'll have to call, are they robbing?
What?
Like, are they robbing? Is the road safe for me to go home? And then my best friend would be like, which is why that last episode I was talking about, like that guy, like, he said, come and stay in my house. Like, you can't believe in this.
Like,
but I never, because again, if I go to his house,
yeah,
his friends who are in the same social class are all
there.
there. And they're talking about things I can't relate to. And I feel like the odd one out. I just want to go to my house, to my poverty.
It's yours.
Let me tell you one story I'll never ever forget. I hope I don't tell.
Let's laugh so you don't tell.
Fuck. There was one day we, so we're in his house, yeah. My friends, no, they came to my house. Like
the best friend.
My best friend and our friends, like they came to my house and lights went off in the night. Now people would usually have rechargeable lamps, right? Or candles, worst case scenario. I brought out this lantern.
What?
And I cannot forget.
I'm sorry.
It's so funny, sad.
I know.
It's fucking hilarious. I cannot forget how one of them said, Chydee, what the fuck is this? And that was when I knew I had fucked up.
Lantern.
Because I should have had candles. I mean, candles are dignified, yeah? Candles are dignified. And I brought out that lamp and I think that was one of the... I think that was one of the moments I knew how poor I was.
Yeah.
And
so wild.
Yeah.
That was the last time they came to my house, by the way.
Oh, wow.
I didn't let them come again.
Like I said, almost everybody can relate. And if there's anybody here that can relate or that has never related
You don't know what God
at any point in their life, they actually want to meet that person. I would like to have a conversation with that person. So for me, I think this happened when I would say I was fresh out of school or out of NYSC, but when you're just trying so hard to balance, you don't know what you want to do, and your friends have gotten jobs, and then they're like, oh, let's have drinks after work. I'm like, first of all,
I don't even have a job.
I don't even have work. So what am I drinking for? How do I get to where I will drink? First of all, because most of them were on the island, and then I was living in Surulere, and they're like, okay, so how will I get there? Do I take BRT or do I take Uber with the 700 naira in my account? Like, you're just there thinking. Uber. And I remember this her friend that said something. His or her friend that said, oh, it's all in. One of my friends used to say, no, just come now, come. Don't worry, I'll pay. I'll pay. And I didn't like hearing that. Okay. I did not like hearing, I'll pay. So Sometimes I just, I'm having my period has come. I finished seeing my period that month. I'm just tired. My period. I'm having cramps. So just lie to just so you are not uncomfortable. Like your friend was saying, come to my house. Come to my house. They are well-meaning friends that just don't want you to feel that way. But you can't help it.
You really can't help it. You really, really, really can't help it. Your space is your space.
Your space is your space.
Unless you're somebody who doesn't have, again, this is in air quotes, and it's not a bad thing not to have it, except for people who don't have shame.
Yeah.
You will feel some type of way if you have to depend on other people.
Over and over again.
Let it be once in a while. I want you to get support from me as much as I'm getting from you.
Yeah.
I want it to be balanced. Again, we understand that these things are not exactly transactional all the time, but I don't because of my disadvantage, I don't feel that way. I want to make sure that nobody can laugh at me and say I did this shit for you.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to, because again that would really, really mess me up.
Yeah.
So I don't want to ever get to that point. Someone say, is it not you? I paid your school. I did. Hey, you did it for me, but I also did this for you. If we want to talk about
and human beings are it's so easy for human beings to say. I don't know if it's just in this part of the world. I don't know if
it's human.
Okay. Yeah. So human beings would generally. So can you relate, or have you at any point in your life experienced?
Yes. Right. So I think that as a concept and a way to understand the world, I was lucky. Yeah. Because I was lucky because, like, I knew we're not like poor, like
below average.
We're not poor, like we're probably like maybe lower middle class, right? I gave my dad a list of Paysetters novels to buy me, and he came back with my novels. My mom was a civil servant. I got suya on weekends. I got 1 liter Coke. I ate spag on Saturday evenings. But I think boarding house, especially government boarding houses, especially like federal, they are a crash course in like the Nigerian like socioeconomic system. Yeah. So I'm going to boarding house just one, right? And my mom gave me two sets of proofs, cornflakes, like the most enjoyment I've ever seen in my life. And I resumed. And in my room, there was someone that came with 8 sets.
Hey!
You know what to come school with 8 cornflakes.
What? The lion is here.
Do you understand? Like, there's something I'll never ever. It sounds.
You see what I'm now saying?
Yeah.
If you think you have
you go jump and you would pass you.
Yeah. No, some people did not even go to school with provision.
Yes, because we had people in fact, there was a class of people that resumed without provisions, and like 3 weeks into this thing, they have provisions.
There's some that will resume with just
let's not
one
ask
set.
how they got it, but they have.
They have. I think the regular ones.
They don't pop.
The regular ones go in with 1 set at the very least. 1 conflict, 1 Milo, 1. But you even went in with 2.
Yeah. I'll never ever forget something. It continues to stay with me. But like, I think that was my introduction to sophistication. There was one in my room. They asked him. My room had 20 boys. So picture these 20 boys, all boxers, as usual. And then they just asked this guy, like, he's just so fresh that we, like, his roommates, we don't want to stain him.
Yeah.
And then our the house prefect who stays in our room was like, where do you stay in Lagos? And he said Okota. And he said that Okota, that all of us just stunned, like,
how?
It was just because of how he pronounced it. Everybody says Okota, Ojota, but he's like Ta. And I'll never ever forget, like, I'll never ever forget how it felt to hear a place I knew so well
pronouncing such a posh.
And I was like, I remember some of those tiny things. For example, my oldest memory of saying 3 was Tiri. Because the school I went to, then it was Tiri. And then someone said, no, it's 3. I'm like, right? So it's like those small things, right? But I feel like something interesting happens with kids. So before you're 10, you are curious about the world, right? By the time you become a teenager, you're curious about the world as a child before 10 with very little knowledge of consequences. That's why children do stupid shit all the time. Then the moment you become a teenager, you're starting to gain an understanding of the world, but you still don't. so you know how to manipulate your way around the world and make things happen, but you still have very little regard for consequences, and that's why teenagers are psychopaths most of the time.
Yeah.
Is when we now become adults, when we enter the world, we learn to manage and hide these things. You see someone that is disgusting, you're like, interesting, right? But like as teenagers, you can't manage those things. And so when I remember that my mom especially, my mom was a civil servant, but she was very, very culturally sophisticated. Like, she could fit into any room intellectually, but she was a civil servant. So she could not even enter those rooms because of her civil servant salary. So she was always throwing me into those types of rooms. So that so do you understand? Like, I have memories of her saying, do you know what? My mom told me something when I was 16. She said, do you know why I always wanted to go to so-and-so place? I said, why? I said, I wanted to see how, like, people healthy, like, I wanted, so, like, I was always in those spaces where, like, I did not know what the fuck they were talking about. So, for example, like, Harry Potter. Like, everybody's like, I grew up reading Harry Potter. I'm like, huh? Like, I remember going to someone's house and for holiday, half Americana, and they had Harry Potter, and that was my crash course on Harry Potter, Ariel Stein, all of those things, because I did not know those things, right?
Yeah.
Again, that was my Bush Boy era, right? Now, what now happened was that the moment I like, personally, the moment I realized that that was my place, in a sense, I now, like, weaponized it somehow. I kind of, like, armed myself with it. I now took on, like, this contrarian identity. I was like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm the Bush Boy, okay?
Yeah.
Right?
That's
to make myself feel.
They want to make it an identity.
Do you understand?
Got it.
To make myself feel better. And then I got to a point. I remember then that even when I run into people who have American accents, I bring out my most Nigerian accents intentionally. Like, I'm trying to, like, I'm not. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And then I just slowly graduated to a point of, like, apathy. Like, I just did not give a fuck. Right? I think that it continues to follow us. But whenever it wants to, I don't know if this is healthy, right? But, like, when I feel imposter syndrome, I'm like, fuck it, I'm here. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how I got here, I'm here now. Because I think in the true sense of it, none of us deserve what we get. Like, in the very true sense of it, like, poor people don't deserve their poverty. Rich people do not deserve their wealth. Like, because a lot of the things that put us in those places, we did not do the work. Someone else had done the work in the past.
Interesting.
And like, it just got thrust upon us. So imagine me as a 21-year-old talking to someone, and I was like sharing my story about downfall and everything. And this person was really trying to connect what I was saying. And I was like, do you get that? And then she was like, I've never been in downfall in my life. And I was like,
wow.
And like, as she said it, the memory that flashed in my head was I was in primary 4, Ikorodu garage bus stop. The bus never stops, so everybody has to jump down, right? So I was always the child that could not jump down. And then the first day I jumped, I remember the conductor just put his hand on his waist and looked at me like, this boy they come. Do you understand? Like, and that flashed in my head that, but this babe who is 20 has never entered a downfall in her life. It's not because of choices she made.
Yeah.
It's because of choices that her parents had already made. Right? I was in downfall because of, like, whatever fate that my parents got dealt. Right? So I feel like, I also feel like when we stop to see ourselves as things that must be of value, like where we are defined by what we do. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I know it's very easy to say because it's hard, right? But like, I still struggle every time someone asks me, so what do you do? Because like, it's hard to quantify those things, and I don't always like to think of myself as a person only in the light of what I can do, because that is when a lot of those things start to creep in, right? But the place I am now with all of this is that when I walk into a room right now, I can see all the people that feel like they should not be there.
How can you tell?
Because we recognize real. Like I can recognize it, and a lot of the time, if I walk into a space, right? So for example, I go to British High Commission. I've never been to the UK, right? And I'm British High Commission, and I'm here, and I'm finding all of it fascinating, and I can see the person who has also never been to the UK and who like is here feeling like they're staining everybody. And so a lot of the time, what I'll do is I'll just walk up. I can walk up to him and say, "Yo, what's up?"
Connect with people.
I'm just like, "Oh, this food not feel better for me," and the guy is like, "Yeah." I will just like get it going, right?
Yeah.
There's also the thing of if you have a large enough relationship network, right, with people, you're going to be in a relationship with people who do not like have as much as you have. And I find it very, very healthy to always have those conversations beforehand. So I have a friend, right, in Abuja. She's a copper then. And I literally told her once outrightly that, look, you're a copper. You need to save every dime you have. I am not a copper, right? We're not going to go and have lunch and you say you want to pay. Let me cover the cost. And there's like, you are not smaller because of it.
Yeah.
Right? And like, I find that a lot of the time when you can have those conversations, acknowledging where people are and like stating very, very clearly, like how you, like what you think, it does help. And I think I can do that because someone also did that for me. Oh, yeah. I had a friend, God, I'm saying this for the first time in public, right? I had a friend who worked in an oil company and I was squatting his house technically in for about a year, right? And whenever people give you ATM to go and withdraw, I never ever check people's balance. But that day, he was broke, and I knew he was broke as fuck that period. And I just out of curiosity, the ATM was just fast that day. I just checked the balance. It was like 2014, and I saw 1 point something million. I've never seen that many digits.
And he said he was broke.
In my life. Since that day, like. I there's nothing you can do. I'm never checking anybody's balance. I need to check balance. But like it was very, very clear that we're not in the same weight class, right?
Yeah.
And he was very proactive about filling that gap.
Yeah.
I think that in situations like that, the people with, I mean, everybody with their own rights, but the people with the more responsibility and the people that can drive the most impact are people who have means, trying proactively to close the gap and understand people's space. So, for example, you invite someone to brunch and they're like, "Oh yeah, I can't come," and you know in your heart of hearts
that might be financial.
Financial. Yeah, that's like, "Oh yeah, that's true. I owe you this thing from your birthday, and let me use this one to this thing." And they're like, okay. I suddenly they change their mind. There's both of you know what happened.
Yeah.
Or know what needs to be said.
Yes.
But like, I really feel like, because what happens is, those spaces that you cannot afford to be in are the ones that will unlock like better possibilities for you.
Yeah.
And so I feel like people
Actually,
do you understand? Because I feel, bro, there are things that there's no way that by just sitting down quietly amongst my guy and his friends who were having problems like 2 million naira problems, that was when my head even opened to the possibility of 2 million as a concept. I'm like, so like it is very like it's so important. The way to save yourself, the way to end it in the long term is for people in those spaces to figure out how to drag people not in a way that is compassionate and respectful.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I think now we should move on to how we can build our self-esteem, because I mean, you said once you walk into a room now, you would know who doesn't fit in that room.
I think it's actually mentioned a couple ways you can do that.
Yeah.
Like, one of the things you should do is don't exactly see yourself as something that needs to create value all the time, but sometimes see yourself as that, right? Understand that there's something you can do that these other people cannot do. That is a mechanism.
So
for
how
me.
do you understand that? How do you get to that point?
So I've gotten to a point where there are certain things that I can do that people can't do, things that add value to society. Yeah. Those are like my wild cards. When I'm drowning in that self-esteem issue, I pick myself up. That's like my floater. You can't do this shit. Yeah, I came from nothing to become this person. Let them try it. Right? So yeah, even when I walk into a space where these people are obviously people that they are not my mates, I might have more money in my accounts than they do, but they are still not my mates because they have generational wealth, a generational name backing them.
Generational social credit system.
Yeah, a credit system that is already backing them. Right? So they can even spend their last money because they know that what's the worst that will happen. One contract is waiting for them. I don't get a contract where they wait me. You get so people ask me why I don't. You saw me. You've seen me at parties. You see how I dance like I'm mental. People ask why I don't go to clubs and all that. It's because I don't understand the concept of buying a bottle of
drink
Hennessy that I can buy in the store for 30K. I don't even still buy it because I can buy cheaper ones. And I buy a bottle of Hennessy for like I know one of those cheap ones, one of those poor ones that they'll not even bring sparkler and all that for you. It's like 80K.
They'll see they cost your papa on top.
Yeah, like see the Hennessy way they drink. So I don't even bother because it's like everybody's going there.
There's no table for Hennessy, please.
You have to spend a minimum of XXX.
Yes.
So people don't understand. This is something that I've been dealing with from back in the day. Like I've dealt with it for a long time. So even now that I'm doing well for myself, I still have those. So it's there somewhere, which is why he said something about decisions we make.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's not just decisions, it's also fate. The hand that fate deals you with, which is why I'm trying to make sure that my own children never have issues as deep as the one I have, because they are going to still
They
have
go
it.
get.
I might Dangote. They are still going to have it.
Even Dangote daughters they go get.
You go get them small when you jam Bill Gates, their children and all that. Yeah.
Okay, so do you have any tips on how we can build a self-esteem?
I think it's first of all like an awareness of why she's feeling that way.
Yeah.
Right. I really believe in a world where there are no stupid questions. Personally, when I don't allow people say, "Oh, I have a stupid question." So don't say that. Like, just ask it, because it's an anxiety in a sense too. Because and the moment there is that hesitation to even confront what you have, you just continue to suffer quietly. So the fact that she even asked this question is great, right? Because the person did not say the gender, and I just assumed it.
No, I think it's inferred that she's a she.
Yeah. So, so the awareness is great.
Yeah.
I think it's also like part of that awareness and understanding, like in these spaces, like what do they contribute in a way that they feel respected and dignified? Why did I specify contribute in a way that they feel respected and dignified? Is that you could be the broke guy, but you're also the group jester.
You're adding value.
It's
value.
So part of that's why the reason I added dignified is that occasionally people start to feel
like you're the joke.
Yes, like
I get
themselves. I also think that it is finding spaces where they actually feel comfortable. Like if your friends will make you feel a certain way, especially that it is all in your head.
Yeah.
The person probably said it in a light, on like not trying to be harmful manner,
and because
maybe from a place of love, even,
and
like,
also because deep inside they're not trying to look down on you.
Yeah.
But like there's a thing about like power and how it is distributed, right? It's like, and you can use this dynamics in every context of where there's the power imbalance. There are times when like a woman says something, and as a man you're like, so no, this is not about gender, but it is about gender. Because the moment she has said that is how she's feeling, and it's about it. And when you just dismiss it, it's the same thing with race, right? It's the same thing in all kinds of contexts. So I hope our friends get kinder. They don't feel like horrible friends.
Yeah, they don't.
I hope they get kinder. I also really, really think that like people need to affirm them. Like we need to learn to affirm ourselves a lot, right? Like what is important? What is important? Like there are things that I think my case is unique. Like there are things you cannot use to. I can never feel intimidated about, right? For example, like I don't own a car, but like I have friends who drive Ranges, right? And I don't feel lesser because they drive a Range. I don't even have money for the range, and that's it. Like, personally, anything I cannot afford, I don't even Godwin it. I only Godwin things that are within like 3 months of savings. I don't Godwin things that I cannot reach. Like, even when I make jokes, like my Godwin jokes are mostly targeted at like to offend single people. So when I see 2 people that are being cute and love it, I'm like, Godwin, in 1 hour's time when I get home. But like any Godwin, any Godwin that doesn't yet look attainable, I don't bother with it. So maybe it's a sense. I don't know what the advice is, but clearly awareness is important. Finding friends that affirm you, not in a way that they make you delusional, right?
Yeah, true.
And just being like very content with what you have.
Affirm yourself.
That's it.
Affirm yourself.
Affirm yourself. Yeah.
Just be very content. If you don't, if you don't have it now, that doesn't mean you won't have it later.
It's possible you won't have it later,
but it's possible that you can have it later.
I actually traveled with some of my friends, right? Went to Abuja, and I was just like, let's just hang out now, right? And then we went to Transcorp, right? And one person was just paying. So it's normal. One person pays, we come back and split the bills, that kind of thing. And then I got my bill for a 3-day stay. And when I got the bill, I told two of them to their face, I said, let this be the last time.
You will bring me here.
And we just said it and laughed about it. But I did not feel smaller because they dragged me there. Yeah. Right? I'm glad that I did not have to borrow to pay back. Although that has happened before.
Spend more than
oh my God, I don't remember something. I'm very, very sorry. Let me just share this thing and I'll hand it over. Hey, so I did not know, right, that when you're on your own and someone invites you to their birthday dinner, they're supposed to pay.
No.
I heard about the concept of
what part of the world did that happen? Clearly not
Lagos.
in Nigeria.
It's always in Lagos.
Lagos?
Let me tell you what happened.
No.
So what happened was this.
It almost never happened.
My cousin came back from the UK. So one of his UK friends and their UK friends.
It's them now.
It's not them.
UK people now.
Not them.
I don't see anybody that is affiliated with that queen and of that throne.
Not them.
I don't
say that throne.
And then like, oh yeah, come for this person's birthday dinner. And I go there, we're vibing. We're laughing. And then they brought menu. I was just pointing.
Hey, Jesus! That should actually be a topic because that should be a topic. Why are you
going
inviting?
Dutch?
Yes.
Going Dutch.
The
concept of Dutch.
Yeah. That's how the waiter does. In fact, the chef, when they give the chef feedback, we call the chef. And they give feedback, say, did I like it cooked?
Hey.
They just brought the bill. And they just started like splitting paper. I was like,
what's going on? What happened?
My bladder just became full.
All of a sudden.
I just look at my cousin. I just held the gaze. He was like, what? I didn't say anything. I just stood up and went to the bathroom. Like 1 minute later, he just joined me. I was like, guy, I don't know if I go pay. He first yabbed me, laughed me, tire. He don't give me money. I don't came outside, I paid.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or more.
If that happened now,
yeah,
and I realized I was not supposed to pay, what time is this? I beg, what has money? I probably just like, please, what has cash? I did not plan to pay.
Yes.
Right? Then I could not do it. Now,
you can do it because you don't have esteem issues.
Yeah.
And you can also pay.
Prove.
You actually can also pay.
That's also part of why. That's also part of why.
That's the reason why
I can pay.
If you could not pay, you would be too ashamed to,
Yeah, I mean, now if I cannot pay, I'll probably make a joke about it and say, how much is this thing again? I was like, but they'll just quickly realize that, okay.
Cover for you.
I think these things are stuff that we will always struggle with in some form. We just learn to manage them. Sometimes we do better at it, sometimes we don't. But it's a real clear and present.
I really like how you said if you're in that group, that value thing, that's very important. I mean, you don't have to be the jester. You could be the organizer. In my I have so many friendship groups and all that. In some of them, there are people who, when we all go out, they don't pay, right? They don't even contribute money, but they're the guys who make the place the most fun. Yeah. Some of them are the ones who know the best places to go to, the best places with the best prizes. Some of the ones are the ones who if a bouncer is messing up or something, they can get you in, get you a place to park. You know, and people just make things happen.
Yeah.
It's sad that, sometimes you might feel pressure that because I don't have money, I have to do extra. I'm really, really sorry. There has to be a balance in some of these dynamics, right?
Yeah.
If you're not contributing money, you are contributing one thing or the other. Some people can just dance better than everybody else. And because of that, if they don't come to a party, there's no life in it.
There's no life.
So even when you're not bringing one naira, everybody wants you to come, right? So yeah, if you're adding some sort of
And
value,
your content.
yeah, if you're adding some sort of value, you'd still, find a way to still not.
Yeah.
Again, it's hard,
Yeah.
especially in a country like Nigeria where everybody wants to one up the other. Everybody wants to show that they are richer or they are doing better than the other person. It's hard to be the one who's not, as successful as the other people, but still you have to live your best life. And like Fuad said, you can't be in your room, you can't be in your cocoon and meet certain opportunities. Sometimes you have to go out and experience certain things and expose yourself to certain opportunities that might even take you to that level you're aspiring to be. So yeah, it's hard though. It's really, really hard. It's not
hard.
easy. It's not an easy place to be in. It's something I still am personally dealing with, even as thankfully
As an
not
adult,
poor as I am,
yeah.
as I was before. And it's not just even money. It's like I said earlier, like we all said, it's also a lot of things. Beauty,
Self-worth.
self-worth, body type,
Intelligence.
it's almost
It's broad.
Yeah, like
it's broad.
all your friends have first classes, or all your people have first class,
And you.
and you are the one who has a third class, and you're
That's
like the
Napoli.
joke, and the joke of the entire group and everything.
Napoli.
Yeah, some of them went to proper schools,
Yeah.
and you went to
You know, be saying
Napoli.
polytechnics and one
Polytechnic
technical.
and they all just bust out laughing like, okay, what are you saying? So yeah, whatever it is, it's easy to feel like you're not as good as the other people, but there are certain things that you can do that they can't do. Enjoy, be proud of that particular thing, right? Be proud of it and contribute to that group and live your best life.
All right, you heard. Live your best life.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Fuad. Even myself, I've learned from this well of knowledge. Or would you call it?
Yeah. Oh, one more thing before we go.
Fetched water.
If
Fetched knowledge.
if you've somehow gotten to a point where you're in a group where there are people who are not doing as well, Fuad has mentioned it, but I need to emphasize that you should be sensitive.
Yeah.
You should be aware as well. It's not just them being aware. You should be aware. Don't just wake randomly in your friend group that that not everybody can afford to do something. Just put it like that. Let's go to Paris next month. Is something wrong with your head? Carry everybody along, right? If you have group of people where everybody is on the same
Can
cash,
go to Lumoro.
you guys can go and so plan stuff that so
Facts.
if it's not Paris, you can go to Lumoro,
Yes,
right?
now.
Plan things that
Go to
everybody.
IT.
Plan things,
Uh-huh.
and I always call it there's this word I use, the least person. Plan stuff that the least person in your group
Can.
comfortably
That's
afford.
a
to do.
strong. That's a strong way to frame it.
Yeah, the least person in the group. Like if it's
Don't make them feel
intelligence,
left out.
if it's intelligence, do things that person can understand as much as every other person. It's not like you're talking about quantum theory. Well, me, I just want to talk about Molue. Please, like, be nice. Yeah, be nice. Be considerate, be sensitive, and try to pull them up as much as you
Shay
can.
Vibes is an idiot.
Thank you so much.
I'm not saying Shay Vibes is an idiot. I'm just
Trolling
wanting
him.
Shay
He'll
Vibes.
soon come for you.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the podcast. Please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at I2Sabi Podcast.
And make sure to subscribe on all streaming platforms, from Apple to Spotify to Google, whatever podcast platform you listen on, subscribe.
All right. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, I2Sabi Podcast.
And don't forget to rate and review us so that other people can see this content that we've created that could, change somebody's life.
All right. That's it. Thank you so much, Fuad.
You
Thank
had me
you,
and changed
Fuad.
somebody's life.
It actually can.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fuad.
I had a great time.
Thank you.
Always. Thank you for your perspective. I
did.
Actually learned a few things, and
I did.
Yeah.
We hope to have you again some other time.
I hope so. There's free refreshments. So.
Chydee, let's go for lunch.